All right, guys, so you should be able to hear me now, right? Apparently, I have to have a monitor and output on at the same time. Never had to do that before. I'm reading my screen. Thank you. How about now? Everything good now? You guys should be able to hear me, I think. Anybody? Bueller? Kane says yes. All right. Yeah, I'm doing silent pictures. I mean, my voice is really annoying, so you guys would probably prefer it if my videos didn't have talking anyways, I would assume. But yeah, if there's no guitar riffs, then that really defeats the purpose. We good now? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. My OBS apparently changed the settings on me, so I think we are good to go now. But yeah, how's everybody doing? I'll play a chord in a second, Dustin. I was playing some nice riffage at the beginning of the live stream, and apparently it was all silent, so that's cool. Yeah, hope everybody's having a good weekend. I got the SLO30 on Friday. Was really, you know, spending a lot of time with the SLO100, but unfortunately on Thursday it left because the person who bought it finally came to pick it up, and now I got the SLO30 in on Friday, so I won't be able to compare them directly, but there's a big lag on chat to me. Okay. Play some nugget. I'll eat some nuggets. God, I love chicken nuggets. I don't know what Opeth chords are. I don't listen to them. Sorry, dude. Yeah, like, right, silent film guitar. Can you answer any question you want, Alex? Go ahead. You can answer any question that you like, man. But for real, if you guys have questions for me, absolutely, you can ask them. I'm going to play riffs here for a second, now that everybody's kind of settled in and we got the audio figured up. But yeah, just wanted to do a little live stream. Been a little lazy as far as editing this weekend. This amp really has me inspired. I think this thing sounds incredible. It sounds really good. I might like it more than the 100 watt, and I'll tell you why after I play it for a little bit. But yeah, I just really wanted to do something with this amp as soon as I could. Yes, it will be for sale. As much as I love it, I'm trying to find every reason in the world to keep it. But you know, as you guys can see behind me, I have walls of amps, and there are more where that came from, and I just can't keep everything. So, you know, we'll see. I might sell a guitar or something in its place, but at right now, it's got 5881 power tubes, and then preamp tubes. It has electro harmonics across the board in the preamp on this thing. So, looks like we got 5 preamp tubes altogether. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool little amp. So, yeah, Dalton also, okay. So Dalton liked the 30 better than the 100. I don't know what it is. The 30 just seems like the low end, like the low mids aren't as thuddy. Like, it's tighter. It's just more tight. So, I'm going to go ahead and play some riffs for you guys real quick, and then we'll get to talking about it. So what do you guys think about that? Because I think it sounds really, really good. Really good. There are definitely some things that I personally would change about it. But overall, like harmonically, I think it is one of the most harmonically rich, like, for a lack of a better word, like sparkly? I don't know. It's so weird to try and describe what the Soldano brings that's different than amps that are not it. It's definitely just got this thing about the mids that are like, they're just in the right place. And man, I'm almost at a lack of words when trying to describe it. The things that I don't like about it pretty much come down to the low end response. The low end response, not as tight as I would like, not as tight as a modern amp. You can definitely work at it and getting it tighter. But it definitely has what I call kind of a thuddy low end. It's just not super tight. It's not super percussive. It's kind of slow in comparison to something like, say, 5153. Like if I were to bring the 5153 Stealth and compare it to the Soldano, the 5153 Stealth low end would be much more percussive. It would be much punchier, and it would be a little bit fuller. It would cover more frequencies. But the low end on the SLO30 is, yeah, it's just got this thing in the low mids that's a little bit weird. So that's the only thing that I don't like about these amps, honestly. If it wasn't for that, they're pretty close to perfect. So let's go back up. Let's read some comments. I already saw some dumb stuff. Like 100 is way better. Yeah, that's 100% personal preference, man. 100% personal preference. If you feel that way, that's great. Metallic sound, like speakers are full of ball bearings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it either, man. Maybe that's it. There's definitely this cool harmonic thing going on in the mids with the SLO100 and with the SLO30. It's definitely here in the small one too. I don't know if it's something in the transformer or what, but best head I've played under $1,000. New or used? I would go with Dustin Nichols. Definitely a used 50 watt EVH, like the original 50 watt 6L6 model is still one of my favorite amps on the planet. Right now, those are going for about $800 to $900 used. Would definitely go that route. I do really like the Iconic for sure, but at this point, you can pretty much get it for the same price as the 50 watt EVH 6L6 all tube one, and I like that one just a little bit better because it has more mid content. But that's my personal preference. If you don't like the Cocteau mid of the PV, you might like the Iconic better. Hi, Jason. Soldanos sound funny on their own mix. Yeah, Steve, we're not looking for warmth. We're playing metal. It looks loud in there. Yeah, it can definitely get loud. That's for sure. Sounds great. Cool. Side by side with the 20. You know what? Here's the thing. Maybe with the 22. Maybe the Jet City 22 with the SLO mod against this thing would be cool. But the original 20 is just the crunch channel of the Soldano, and it's just not as good. It's cool, and you can definitely get it to a point where it sounds good, but it's definitely not as good as the Overdrive channel. But to your point, the 22H does have that. OG SLO100, it's a beast. He's a Southern rocker. Yeah, see, I think that the SLO can do metal, but a lot of the time people are expecting it to be like this crazy metal machine, and it's just not. It doesn't have that modern voicing, and it doesn't have that modern low-end response. It's got plenty of gain, but if you're looking for a really awesome modern metal amp, I think a lot of people who are looking for a super modern sound would be disappointed with this. But if you go in knowing what this thing is and what to expect out of it, and knowing how you can tweak it to get yourself in the arena of where you want to be, then that's a different story. Cav, Pickup in the bridge is it's a hot rodded PAF. It's a custom wound one from this company or this one guy in Canada named Vineham. That's the name of his company. It's called a Rampage. It's an Alnico 5. It's like a 15K resistance. Really cool hot rodded PAF pickup. It's kind of smooth on top. Be great. Yeah, with a 2 amp setup, absolutely. I've actually been thinking, how can I incorporate it into a 2 amp setup? But my main setup for my one band that I'm going to be playing some shows with here soon is the Metzabarba Trinity and my orange Rocker Verb 50 Mark II. And I thought about subbing the Soldano in for the Trinity, but I still like the Metzabarba more than the SLO. But the SLO is more portable, so that's why I've thought about it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it would be great as part of a 2 amp setup for sure. What's up, Red Dragon? Thanks for the love, man. Appreciate you. No, Jason, haven't tried it down-tuned at all. We are micing up a V30 right now, a UK V30, 16 ohm. Sorry, dude, I don't even know how to do a dry, wet, dry setup, and I don't really mess with effects, so you're going to have to go to another channel for that. Just not something that I know much about. No, this is not a stock LP standard. This is a 2002 1958 reissue. Yep, we'll definitely have some more solid state amps coming up. I've got a PV Supreme XL that I haven't demoed yet. I also have a Tube, the hell is it? A TubeWorks MOSFET amp that I just randomly picked up from Guitar Center. Never heard it or heard of it before, but I grabbed it, so we'll put that up too. That's all solid state. Contrary to the name being TubeWorks. When I played the 606, playing through the Marshall MX angled cab, and I love the way it sounded, but it's been a while, so I'll have to go back and visit it. Maddox May, do yourself a favor, play it through a good cab, because those MX cabs are garbage. The speakers are garbage, the construction of the cab is garbage. If you play it through something better, pretty much anything with birch construction and a higher end speaker from Celestion or Eminence, I bet you're going to like it quite a bit more. Yes, I do like greenbacks. I'm actually looking at picking up a pair of the EVH 20-watt greenbacks to do a video on here soon. Been really curious about those speakers for a long time. I've got 3 different cabs that have M25 greenbacks in them, the modern production or reissue M25 greenbacks. I've got a vintage Marshall 1960 cab. I believe it's a 1974 year that has 2 of the original blackbacks in it. So yeah, I'm a fan of those for sure. SLO compared to the PV Butcher, completely different amps, man. They're nothing alike. PV Butcher versus the JMP 2203 would be much more similar. Yeah, I play it. This has pretty much become my main cab, this Metzabarba cab. If that's what you're talking about, Cajun. It's got V30s and Celestion redbacks and an X pattern, and sounds great with pretty much every amp that I run through it. So it's pretty much become my main cab at this point. Uh, 30 versus the 100. From what I can tell, they sound pretty much identical, but if you can believe it, I seem to be getting more low end and a little bit tighter low end out of the 30. Could be because of a number of reasons, but in my immediate experience, I noticed that when I would try to push the low end on the 100, it would get thuddy and weird, and I couldn't really push it enough. On this amp, I can push it to the point where it's percussive before it starts to get like overly thuddy in the low mid section. So I am currently preferring the 30 over the 100, but that really is the only difference that I have noticed. Honestly, they did a really good job at scaling it down and making it sound pretty much identical. Yeah, an EVH 212, absolutely, man. The EVH 212s right now come with the G12H30 Anniversary Series speakers in them, which are an excellent speaker for the EVH because they have a really nice mid-range to them and they are very, very tight. I think they did a great job pairing that speaker with the 50-watt 5150 amps, so I would absolutely recommend that cab, especially because they're still cheap for a 212. They're 600 bucks. They were 500, now they're 600, but that's still about the cheapest quality 212 that you can get from a major manufacturer at this point. 65052 at NAM. I don't know. NAM. I don't know. Don't know yet. I don't think PV even knows yet, to be honest. I haven't tried the Jesus speakers. I really want to. Really, really want to. I was talking to somebody today about trying the Jesus Demons on there. I would absolutely love that. Sorry, I'm trying to look at something here. SLO amp sim, dude. The Neural DSP gets it right. The Neural Soldano plugin is freaking fantastic. Thanks, man. Yeah, I love the cab too. I really do. This the Metzabarba has some special bracing in the front that I've never seen in another cabinet before. It's just built really, really well. It's a really stiff and solid cab. Sounds really good. Especially with amps with a lot of low end, it kind of tames those low end frequencies. Never tried a Mesa cab in person, and I love to have one. They are just expensive. Yeah, they have gotten expensive for sure. You used to be able to pick them up cheap on the used market, but those days are gone, unfortunately. They do pair very well with 5150s though, because of the mid response. 8 ohm versus 16 ohm cabs. Can I tell the difference and preference? So from everything that I have been told, a 16 ohm speaker should be brighter on top and should have a bigger bottom end. 8 ohm will be more mid-focused, a little tighter in the low end. It's hard to say because every speaker is different, every cabinet is different. So to compare two cabs with the exact same constructions with, you know, one set of 16 ohm versus one set of 8 ohm speakers, it's really tough to tell. It really does seem like 16 ohm cabs are a little bit brighter and a little bit less mid-focused than 8 ohm cabs, but again, kind of directly comparing is pretty tough to do. Eminence Wizards and a Mesa 212 on my EVH 5153. I like it. Yeah, the Wizards are super mid-forward, and they also tame a lot of that high-end sizzle that 5150s are known for, so I can see that being a good pair. The Wizards really surprised me when I first tried them with how MIDI they were and how much they really rolled off that high-end sizzle. Like, they're not a dark speaker, but they take a lot of that zzz sound out of the 5150. It was pretty surprising the first time I played it, so could be a cool pairing for sure. Depth control is useful. I'll run you through the depth control. I have it set right now at like 8 out of 11 because this amp goes to 11. So there you have it. But, excuse me, it's useful, but it definitely gets to the point where it's over the top. I have a boost on the amp right now too, so I'm going to show you the depth with and without the boost engaged. We'll start with the boost engaged. I'll run through the range of the depth, and then I'll turn the boost off, show you it unboosted. So as you guys can probably tell, the having a boost in front of this amp makes all the difference in the world. The SD1 is a really good pair. Yeah, Boss SD1 really pairs well with this amp because it can be very, very flubby without a boost. That's just the natural state of the low end. Remember, guys, this amp was designed in the mid 80s, and people didn't want super tight percussive low end at the time. It just wasn't a thing, and that very much carries over into the modern versions of this amp too. But hitting it with the right overdrive, especially in SD1, that really tightens that low end up, it really pretty much fixes all of that. So yeah, no problem. That's why I'm here, man. Trying to demo the amp for you guys. I don't think it would pair well with an Angle, personally. Angles tend to be a little relaxed in the mids, and this is what I would call a smooth amp, unless you really push the frequencies. If you see how I have it dialed in, I've got the treble and the middle both at 7, and I've got the presence almost all the way up just to get the high end out of it that I'm personally looking for. So this is a smooth amplifier for sure. It doesn't have that Marshall signature mid-range spike. It doesn't have that PV upper mid wah. It doesn't have the rectifier kind of, you know, bright top end. It's very, very smooth across the board. So you're going to want to pair it with something with more of a mid-range hump in order to get it, you know, to fill in frequencies that the mid-focused amp is not doing for that. So pairing it with something like an Orange Rocker Verb would be really cool. Pairing it maybe with the Mesa Badlander 50 would be a cool pairing because the Badlander 50 has a lot of mids on the crunch channel, so that could be really cool. Pairing it, I feel like if I were to pair it with a 5150, that would be a little too similar in the gain structure and just the overall sound. Like it wouldn't be different enough to make sense to pair those two. Pairing it with the Splawn would be awesome. Pairing it with the Splawn would be really, really cool. This versus the EVH 5150 50 Stealth. I haven't directly compared them. The 50 Stealth is probably going to be a little bit more scooped. It's definitely going to have a bigger, tighter low end. You guys know that I love the Stealth, but it's also not my favorite version of the EVH because I just feel like the mids are a little too scooped out of it. For my personal taste, I like the mids of the original 6L6 a little bit better because they're a little bit more mid-forward. But yeah, the EVH is going to have more gain on the red channel, and it's going to be even more compressed. This amp is pretty compressed on the overdrive channel, but the EVH will be even more compressed. It'll have more low end. We'll probably have a little bit more range in the treble. Maybe a little bit more modern in the mids, tighter lows. Yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. I mean, overall, in the grand scheme of things, they're not going to be super different in the amp world. Like, it's not going to be like a Mesa versus a Marshall. Like, they're going to have a kind of a similar gain structure. You're not going to have the harmonic content that the Soldano has in the 5150, but no, I do not think that the Plumes would do well with this head whatsoever because the Plumes doesn't tighten the low end, in my experience. At least not nearly as much as your standard TS9 or SD1 style overdrives. The Plumes very much keeps the low end intact, and in this amp, you want to tighten that low end significantly unless you're going for like a Doom or a Fuzz or something like that, because it would be pretty unpleasant if you're trying to go for percussive... oh my God, I'm having a meltdown. For percussive palm mutes. My personal opinion. But I'm also not the biggest fan of the Plumes for that reason exactly. I like my overdrives to tighten and focus the low end and add some mids. The Plumes, I feel like a little bit on the neutral side, and it definitely did not tighten the low end the way that I like for an overdrive. So I don't think that it would pair well with this amp for that reason. Splawn goes well with anything? No. Splawn is very mid, not even mid-forward. I would describe it as mid-dominant. The mids on the Splawn are just, they will sit out in front of the mix all day long unless you really dial them back. And even then, it's going to cut. So you're going to want to put it with an amp that's going to fill in some more low frequencies and some of those top-end sizzly frequencies, because the mids on the Splawn is where that amp shines all day long. So, but it's also, I think it's the fullest sounding modded Marshall style amp on its own, because the low end on it is huge too. So it doesn't go well with everything, but it's a good amp to pair with something that's a little darker, a little fuller. How does this SLO30 compare to the Mezza Barba Skill? Kind of the same way that the M0 Overdrive 100 compares to the SLO 100. The Mezza Barba has a little bit of a tighter, punchier low end and has more of an angry, focused upper mid spike, kind of like a Marshall, but otherwise very, very similar. The SLO30, you know, sounds just like the SLO 100. So all those differences from the Mezza Barba 100 amp to the SLO 100 amp are the same for the Skill 30 to the SLO 30, because essentially the Skill 30 is a scaled down M0 Overdrive. So there's that. I'll play a couple more riffs, even though my wrist is getting stiff, and then you guys can throw me some questions. All right, so what'd you guys think of that? I think it sounded pretty good. Jason, no, it's not a PAF. It's not safe to swim. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is a pretty cool wall. Pretty cool that this is my stuff, to be honest. So thank you. Lots of great amps back here. Jason, it was the Vineham Rampage. That's what I was using, the Vineham Rampage. The hell was I doing? Sorry, I just got distracted. So yeah, it's like a hot modern PAF, but it's not like an 8K low output one. It's a very hot pickup. What's up, Rich? How's it going, man? Love the SLO. You've got the Synergy module, but considered selling it and getting the real thing. I have the Syn 30 behind me, and the SLO module on the Syn 30 sounds incredible. There are things I like about it better than this, but the Syn 30 power section also is not as powerful. So if you're running it through an external power amp of something else, it might do really well. But the 30 watt head's just a little bit weak. Eric, yes, the low end definitely gets too woofy on this amp if you push it hard. It's not a tight amp. You really kind of have to work at that tightness. Yeah, Jason, that's the pickup that I was talking about. The pickup in this guitar is a Duncan distortion. So the pickup that was in the Les Paul was the Vineham one. That's the hot PAF. I am using the Digitech drop pedal to shift the tunings, and I absolutely love that pedal. Really, really good. Haven't tried any of the other ones, although the Pitchfork looks pretty interesting. I've only tried the Digitech drop tune. Yep, that's it. It's pretty fast when you go a step down. Once you start getting more than a step down, you might notice some latency if you're really picky. I use it every day for band practice for Human Animal. Not every day, but every band practice for Human Animal. And I drop it down one step. And I love it. It works perfectly for that. But once you start getting more than one step down, the latency will start to become a factor. Jay, just for you, I'm going to hold it like this from now on. What do you think about that? Thanks. Thanks, Hugo. I appreciate you, man. What's the best amp you would recommend on a budget for metal 100 watt? Depends on your budget. What's the budget? If you want something like this, Jet City JCA 100H, if you can find one, or the HDM that has the depth mod, around $500 to $600 used for the HDM these days. In my opinion, it's worth it. I think they sound incredible. It's basically a 100 watt Soldano hot rod that's made in China with the depth mod and 2 channels. You can do an SLO mod to it fairly simply, and it'll get you really, really close to the SLO, surprisingly close. So that's a great option. Otherwise, I use 6505 or 6505 plus. I used 5153 50 watt model of any sort. Those are all great, but the prices on those have been steadily climbing. If you want something old school, the PV Ultra series, 60 and 120, those are great amps that can still be had for around $400 to $500 a piece. So definitely Ultra 120, really great amp. I also have an Avenger, and the Avengers, there's things that I like about the Avenger and there's things I don't like. The mids I like better on the Avenger because the mids are a little bit more forward, but the top end is not as aggressive. It's like the presence is focused somewhere differently where you don't get that sizzle. It's focused a little bit lower. And the low end is not nearly as tight on the Avenger as it is on the SLO100. And the SLO100 is already not that tight of an amp unless you use the right boost and the right pickup. So the Avenger, definitely not tight by any means. But overall, I really like the tone of it. There are just, again, a couple slight tweaks that I would probably make to it. In fact, I might. I keep looking over here because it's sitting over here. I might tweak mine. I might tweak that presence and the bass frequencies to be more like an SLO100. In fact, I should probably hit up Mike Wagner at Wagner Amp Repair and see if he'll do that for me, because I like the Avenger, but not as much as the SLO100. Yes, same, Cody. Seriously, it's saved me because I like to keep all my guitars in E standard because that's generally where I play. But I play in a band that plays in D standard, and just having to have other guitars set up in tunings that I never really touch kind of bums me out. So the fact that I can just kick that baby on and I'm in the tuning that I need to be without a completely different setup overhaul, it literally makes my day. So I'm with you on that one, man. Also, what overdrives do you think I should be using with this, Cody? You let me know. Pick of choice. Right now I'm using a Parks Custom Pedals pick. If you guys don't know Parks Custom Pedals, his name is Park and he makes custom pedals. So there you go. No, Park is he's a cool dude. I met him at NAMM, and he gave me a pedal to demo for you guys, his Nanerta overdrive distortion pedal, which I have not done a demo with yet, but I will do soon. But this is basically just a green 88 Dunlop Tortex, and that's generally what I like to use. So I do have a big old bag of the what are they? The Duralin. So these are D'Addario picks. Duralin, they're 88, but they come to a real sharp point, and I like these because they last a really long time. And even though they start at a sharp point, once you wear them down, they round out nicely and you get a lot more life out of them. Yeah, do me a favor, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, like Carl says, hit the like button. That helps this thing in the algorithm. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Sunday afternoon. It's actually beautiful here in Erie, so I'm not going to be on for much longer because I want to try to get out and enjoy the weather a little bit more. But like I said, I just wanted to do a little live stream and hang with you guys while I had some free time here. Yeah, Jason, I was using the Mud Killer on Drop C, and it definitely, the Mud Killer can get it very, very tight for sure. For sure. But again, it's like the more you turn up the tightness on the Mud Killer, the more you're sacrificing some of the lower frequencies of the amp, so it won't have quite the same gut punch effect. So it's kind of a balancing act again. Awesome, Rich. Yeah, honestly, it's sitting right next to me. I haven't gotten a chance to try it out yet, though. I'm gonna be going through some stuff, some pedals for sure. I got sent a lot of pedals that I've yet to do a video for. I spent pretty much the last month and a half trying to get through a whole bunch of amps that I was borrowing from a friend, like literally like 30, and he finally came and picked them all up. So now I'm down to the amps that I own and the amps that I am selling that are part of my inventory. So it'll be much easier for me to get to the pedal demos and stuff like that. Plugins, more speaker demos, more cab demos. It'll be a little bit less amp centric, but I also will have more time to actually post and edit videos. So you'll probably be seeing more videos from me in the next few weeks, like probably 5 per week. I'll be posting a lot of content coming soon just to kind of knock some stuff out. But can I hit a low E chord? Sure. A low E, like just an E. Hold on. Yeah, man, this thing sounds sick. It really does. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more, get a little bit more volume out of it, and push that power section a little harder. Got to adjust my input gain and play a couple more riffs and then chat with you guys a little bit more. So if you have any more questions, let me know. We'll knock those out, and then we'll call it a day on this live stream. It's been fun, though. Yes, of course, moving amps is always a workout, and I'm always moving amps because I have stuff stacked on top of and behind and all sorts of stuff in my basement down here, so I get a workout just moving amps quite a bit. Somebody asked if I have used JHS pedals. I have not. I'm definitely interested in the JHS stuff, but I have not had a chance to use any of their pedals just yet. So if you guys let me know some cool overdrives that they have, because that's mainly what I'm into, I may check them out in the near future here. The Bonsai is definitely one I've been interested in. But I'm going to turn this up a little bit and mess with the tones a little bit more. I think my dog just fell off the couch, and then, yeah, we'll call it a day. And yes, I absolutely love Power Trip. Power Trip's one of my favorite bands. All right, I think that's about all the riffing I had left in me for the day. So, what do you guys think? You guys think it's worth $3,100? It's a very expensive amplifier, very expensive. I personally really dig it. I really dig it. For the used prices that they go for, $2,400. That's what I have this one listed for. Yeah, if you're in the boutique market, absolutely. This thing has plenty of low end. It's got lots of headroom because it's actually rated for 33 watts. A lot of the smaller sized amp heads that are rated for like 20 watts are actually only rated for like 11 watts because EL84s don't put out that much power. So if it's rated for 20, it's usually 11 watts. If it's rated for 30, it's usually like 22, 23 watts of actual dissipation. This amp is rated at 33 watts. So 33 watts is just enough headroom to get by in a really loud band situation before the power section starts to get driven too hard to the point where it compresses and mushes up a little bit and runs out of headroom. It also depends, of course, on the power section itself. Of course, Soldano, Soldano, the whole thing that he did to make this amp special in the first place was he spec'd out a crazy transformer that just had an insane amount of headroom so that no matter how loud you turned the amp up, it really never really ran out of headroom. So I would imagine that the same kind of thing went into these smaller transformers. They're probably going to be a lot louder than the average 30 watt rated amp is. So you're going to be able to get away with this thing in a band setting. I think it's awesome. I really dig it. I really do. I need to get another Mezzabarba SLO30 in here because that was my favorite small compact amp that I had ever played. And it was very similar to this, but it was a little bit brighter, a little bit more MIDI. Yeah. The Mezzabarba fixes everything that I necessarily don't like about the SLO to the point where I don't think that it's a perfect amp. Mezzabarba is a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit tighter. Soldano is a little bit smoother. It's a little bit more low-mid focus. But if you were to pair them together, that would be an awesome tone. And yeah, SLO30 and this thing would be an awesome comparison video as well for my personal curiosity and for the general public. So I'll try to get another SLO30 in here. But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with this amp, guys. I really liked it. When I plugged it in, it surprised me quite a bit. Enough to the point where I'm like, okay, if I get some time this weekend, I'm going to do a little live stream with this thing because it sounds awesome. And I'm trying to think of every way that I possibly can to keep this thing and sell something else off in its place. So as of right now, it's for sale for $2,400. Money talks. I will sell it if somebody comes up with $2,400 plus shipping. But I'm happy to have it here. I'm happy to be able to do some videos for you guys. So Sheldon says, sounds cool, but no. Okay. Great amp, sick amp. That's pretty versatile. It's worth that to someone. Sounds great. I think $1,900 would be reasonable. I have no foot in the world of amp value. Okay. they just went up, was 27 a month ago. I have not tried the Mark V 35, but I do not like any of the Mark V amps. I just don't gel with them. They don't sound good to my ears. So if you like the Mark series, sure. I think Mesa does a good job with the mini heads as well. I really like the mini rectifier, but it lost a lot of what makes a rectifier too. And I've kind of heard that about the Marks, the mini Marks, like they're just a little bit different than the big full-sized 90 watt. I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't personally played them. But I would assume that if you're a fan of the Mark series that the mini versions make sense. For me, I liked the mini rectifier more than I liked the big rectifier just because it seemed to be a little more aggressive in the mids and it was a little tighter in the low ends. So, Sheldon, I don't know. I haven't plugged it in yet, honestly. It's sitting upstairs on a half stack. So I will get to demoing it before I sell it off. But traditionally, I don't like crank amps that much. I've played the Rev Plus, and the original Crankenstein. So the Crank Plus is the only one of those that I haven't played. I also had a Chadwick, the original Chadwick, and I absolutely hated that amp. But again, these are all my personal preferences, so don't rely on me. Um, 20 watt JCM 800 boosted by an ST9. What 412 can you advise? I don't know, man. What type of music are you playing? Generally, people like not vintage 30s with JCM 800 style amplifiers, but I don't mind it. I think that they sound better with greenback style speakers. So if it were me, I would probably do like a H75 M65 creamback combo style cabinet. The 1960 AV would probably be the best fit because that is the least mid-forward of all three of those cabinets. Dude, you're missing out. Power Trip is incredible. Incredible. It sucks they're not a band anymore. It really breaks my heart. You play thrash and hardcore on drop C and you're using a JCM 800. I don't know, man. I don't know. None of them are going to be best. You're going to have to try them for yourself. I'm sorry. I unfortunately, people have wildly different tastes. I do not like the Marshall 1960 AV cab at all. I like the Engel cab with the right amps. But they're also not super mid-forward. I don't know why. I think it has to do with the construction. They also use like I believe they use an insulation on the inside of their cabs, and they just don't sound as mid-forward as the Mesa. The Mesa is the most round and mid-forward of all of them. Contrary to popular belief, I do not find the Mesa oversized cabs to be tubby at all either because they're sealed airtight and they are braced very well, so therefore the cabs do not fart out whatsoever. So you really got to play them for yourself, man. That's it. But I think that's going to do it for me today, guys. I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out. I really appreciate it. If you could do me a huge favor, hit the like button on the way out. I will put my viewers' comments video up that was supposed to go up Friday, tomorrow. It's been a really busy weekend, and just been trying to enjoy the great weather and everything and kind of take a little step back from YouTube for a minute, but there's going to be a lot of content coming up soon. So yeah, stay tuned this week. There's going to be a lot of videos coming your way. Cool amps, speakers, microphones. Got a lot of stuff. Impulse responses and everything. So yeah, hit the like button. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you next time.